Okay, so let's keep going. Oh, this is 101, week 5, part 7. Okay. So Socrates says if the soul is immortal and the body is mortal, and that the soul, when it sees beauty and wisdom and goodness, wants to sort of fly upward, but when the soul looks upon things that are evil and bad, then it starts to get pulled downwards toward the body. Okay, Zeus, that's sort of the god of the gods. Zeus, mighty lord, holding the reins of a winged chariot, leads the way in heaven, ordering all and taking care of all. And there follows him the array of the gods and demigods, marshaled in 11 bands. Hestia alone abides at home. It doesn't matter. He's talking about all the different gods flying around heaven in their soul chariots. Um, and of the rest, they are reckoned among the princely 12 to march in their appointed order. They see many blessed sights in the inner heaven, in many ways to and fro, along which the blessed gods are passing, everyone doing his own work. He may follow who will and can. For jealousy has no place in the celestial choir, right? Jealousy is one of those bad things they were talking about that makes life difficult, and there's no jealousy up with the gods. Of course, that's not really true, because there's all kinds of stories about the gods being jealous of each other, but this is Socrates' story, so I will let him tell it. But when they go to banquet and festival, they move up the steep to the top vault of heaven. The chariots of the gods, in even poise, obeying the rein, glide rapidly. But the others labor, for the vicious steed, that's the bad horse, goes heavily, weighing down the charioteer to earth when his steed has not been thoroughly trained. And this is the hour of agony and extremest conflict for the soul. For the immortals, they are at the end of their course. They go forth and stand upon the outside of heaven, and the revolution of the spheres carries them round, and they behold things beyond. But of the heavens which is above the heavens, what earthly poet did ever or will sing worthily? So you can't even talk about where the gods go. It is such as I will describe, for I must dare speak the truth when truth is my theme. There abides the very being with which true knowledge is concerned, the colorless, formless, intangible essence visible only to the mind, the pilot of the soul. The divine intelligence being nurtured upon mind and pure knowledge, and the intelligence of every soul which is capable of receiving food proper to it, rejoices at beholding reality, and once more gazing upon truth is replenished and made glad. The point is, what's up in heaven? Truth, pure knowledge. It's not colors and shapes, but it's intangible essence. Everything's sort of perfect and true. It's only the mind visible only to the mind. This is an important thing. This is going to come back later. The point is, where are the gods going? Well, when the gods have these sort of perfect souls, and they look upon beauty and truth and goodness, and that's what they're gazing upon, and it makes their souls happy. And they fly around the skies sort of looking at these things. I know this all seems crazy, but we're going somewhere with this, and it's useful and interesting. But we have to kind of fight our way through this crazy mythology shit before we get there. But the point is that they fly their souls all around. The chariot souls are flying all around, and they look at good things. Okay. Until the revolution of the world brings her round again to the same place, because they're flying all around the world in a big circle. In the revolution, she beholds justice and temperance, that's not too much, not too little, knowledge absolute, perfect knowledge, not in the form of generation or relation, which men call existence, but knowledge absolute, absolute in existence, absolute. So he says, I know that's a really confusing way to put that. He says they get knowledge not in the form of generation or relation, but knowledge absolute, meaning that when they learn something, it's true forever in all times and places. When we learn something is true, it tends to be true just for where we are and when we are. When we learn something true, it's often just local in time and space. When you learn something, you think it's forever. You're like, oh, men are just like that. No, men in this part of the world for the last couple of decades have been like that, but not men at all times and in all places are like that. These are the customs. If you ever traveled to the country, you'll notice they have different customs and different ways of doing things. I apologize if I already told this story. I don't know, because I'm not going to tell that story. But if you travel to another country, they have different customs and different rules. And then you come back home, and then it's different there. The rules are sort of different wherever you go. Now imagine going back 100 years or 200 years. Actually, I told you this story. I gave you this story about the yachts in China. And I said that a tan means something very different in China than it does in America. In China, a tan means you're a farmer or a fisherman and you're poor. But in America, a tan often means you're so rich you can hang out by the beach all day. The point is that what you learn tends to be local. It tends to be local in time, local in place. But the gods, when they look on things, are seeing things that are always true everywhere and at all times. Again, I know this is crazy right now, but we're headed somewhere with this, so bear with me. Okay. All right. So he says that they. All right. And beholding the other true existences in like manner and feasting on them, she passes down into the interior of the heavens and returns home. And there the charioteer, putting the horses in a stall, gives them ambrosia to eat and nectar to drink. This is just God's stuff. So that's what the gods do. They fly around and they look at things that are always true, perfectly true in all times and all places, and they're things like goodness and truth and beauty and wisdom and all that kind of good, healthy mind stuff. Notice, by the way, that the things they look at, it's not planets, it's not stars, it's not aliens, it's things, not things that are visible to the eyes, but things that are only visible to the mind, like goodness and truth and beauty and justice and temperance, which is not being at the extremes. Temperance is like reasonableness. Okay, cool. So that's the gods. But let's talk about people. Such is the life of the gods. But of other souls, that which follows God best and is likest to him lifts the head of the charioteer to the outer world and is carried around in the revolution, troubled indeed by the steeds, and with difficulty beholding true being, while another only rises and falls, sees, and again fails to see by reason of the unruliness of the steeds. The horses here are hard to control. The rest of the souls are also longing after the upper world, and they all follow. But not being strong enough, they are carried around below the surface, plunging, treading one on one another, each striving to be first. And there is confusion and perspiration and the extremity of effort. And many of them are lamed, meaning injured, or have their wings broken through the ill driving of the charioteers. And all of them, after a fruitless toil, they're working hard, but they're not getting anything, not having attained to the mysteries of true being, go away and feed upon opinion. So he says that the gods fly their chariots around and look at beauty, goodness, and truth, and wisdom, and temperance, and all these good things, because their horses work. The gods have 2 good horses, and so if they want to go see something beautiful and amazing, they can just go see it. But human beings have trouble controlling the horses. One horse is good and wants to go look at the good stuff. And he says feeds upon, because a soul gets health, just like a human being needs food, Socrates says. The soul wants to feed not upon food, but on goodness and truth and beauty and these kinds of things. The problem is for human beings, there's a bad horse. And the bad horse is pulling them down and away from these things, because the bad horse does not want to look at goodness and truth and beauty. The bad horse wants to fuck and drink and eat regular food and screw around and be lazy. So Socrates describes this really importantly, though, and he says that they get a glimpse. It's not that the gods see these things and human beings don't. Human beings see a little bit of it, but not as much as the gods do, because they got a horse pulling them down. So he says here, they rise and fall. They see and again fail to see by reason of the unruliness of the steeds. So imagine, it's like the horses are taking them up to see the good things, but then they get dragged down and they miss it. And then they can kind of get up and see a little bit, and then they get dragged down again. So they only get to see some of what the gods see, because one of the horses is trying to get up there, but the other horse is pulling in a bad direction. And here's the crucial thing, and I underlined it on my copy of it. Many of them are lamed or have their wings broken through the ill divining of the charioteers. So some of these, the souls get injured, and so they crash land. And they can't see the good things. They can't see beauty, truth, and goodness. They feed upon opinion, because it's all they have. If the horses pull you far down, you don't get to see goodness and truth and beauty. You get to see just people's opinions. And people's opinions are often really wrong and just incorrect. And that's all you're stuck with. That if you could do it the right way, you would know truth. But because you got a horse dragging you down, you often get sucked into opinion. And I think you can see that now we're more in the range of class, right? The kinds of opinions like Lysias claiming that you should marry someone who doesn't really love you. That's the kind of screwed up stuff you get when your bad horse pulls you down because you're focusing on the wrong things. I'll pick you up in the next video.